How about
Hey,
we,
welcome. Look forward to supporting all you brothers.
yeah. So how about we just go around and just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of what you do, uh, as we go around here and share that with the people. So Andy.
Andy Lee, Juneau, Alaska, longtime Alaskan, lifelong friend of Gene Tagaban, my brother, and I work, former superintendent of corrections, state of Alaska. I left that line of work because too many people that look like us were being incarcerated, and I wanted to do something about that. So my contribution is through what's called Positive Choices. I work in the field of work in a lot of villages with suicide prevention and at-risk youth. And I'm excited to be here and sharing this opportunity.
Right on, Andy. Thank you. So Nelson, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Nelson Garbett. I work in Tacoma Public Schools as well as take care of disabled adults. And I also coach at Peninsula High School across the bridge in Gig Harbor. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I've been in Washington since 2011. So I've been here almost 10 years. Right now in Tacoma Public Schools, I'm working in a program where it's called EDGE, where I work with students one-on-one, working with executive functioning skills with their choices and decisions. So we kind of work one-on-one, and I help them hold themselves accountable with those choices and decisions and help them implement and execute those goals by breaking them down and understanding their executive functioning skills. For the most part, I met Gene through his significant other, and he's been a great source and resource for me. He spoke a couple times in classrooms I've been in. He's been a profound individual, and I've seen some of the impacts he's had in students' lives. Right now, in my role, I'm trying to basically help students with, like I say, one-on-one with their goals. But in my capacity right now, I've been trying to support students. With the pandemic we have and what we're facing, I've been trying to support them socially and emotionally, and just kind to let them know, giving them some type of stability. So that's what I've been doing as of late. But my regular 9 to 5, like I said, is just working with students and providing a resource for them.
Right on. Thanks, Nelson. I really appreciate all the work that you do and your growth as a man, and work with your students. Thanks, brother. So Carter, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, and it's great to be here. And I just want to acknowledge the land that we're all sitting on at this point, in appreciation. I originally was born in Oklahoma via my family coming from Louisiana. So I appreciate that. And now my sitting spot is the state of Washington, both on the east and west side. And right now I'm sitting on the east side in Twist, Washington. Since all of this really broke out about 3 months ago, we've been here. And so with that, I come from a story that was not my story from birth, and especially being of color. And I want to be an appreciation of both brown and black, because I do know that the native, indigenous, original people, this all started before black was here. And everything that we're seeing today has been really learned and embedded in us from the people who believe they are superior at this point in time. We've learned all of this, okay? So my point being is the story that was given to me was all about being successful in this world, in this society. And I did that extremely well. However, at that point in time, there was something missing. I wasn't enjoying what that story was supposed to deliver to me. And that was in banking, in the pharmaceutical, biotech industry, and in higher learning. And then there's a point of questioning, what was this all about? And then nature came into my life. And I use that as a point of trying to obtain some type of answers. And so for the last 9 years, when I left corporate and higher ed, it's taken me this time to do my dirt work of both surviving and thriving in nature, both short-term and long-term, with all the right equipment and with the least amount of equipment, because I felt that I needed that in order to create curiosity for those who may not even know these natural spaces and places even exist, and to bring them along with me. So my point in my life right now is to build that curiosity in others who have historically not been accepted, and to bring them into this environment that will, I believe, assist in them just sitting with nature and trying to figure out how they fit in this whole big world. And so it's taken me that 9 years now to be able to position myself to help mentor and create that curiosity in others to bring them with me. Not that it's going to affect them the same way in which it has affected me, but at least give them that choice. So I welcome that, and I'm definitely appreciate to be here today with you.
Thanks, brother. You know, it was great. I met you through the Wilderness Awareness School, and you were in an outdoor intensive survival program called Anaki there, and you were, if not the oldest individual there, and you stuck it out, went through it, man, and we had good conversations during those times, you know, and awarenesses, you know, and thank you so much. Thank you, all three of you, for being here. So as we get started, you know, as we've already started, and thank you for acknowledging of the land of where you're at, you know, because I'm coming from the land of the Puyallup people, you know, and same with Nelson, who's in this area as well. And I know Andy's in the land of that Tlingit people and that area. And so it's, I acknowledge the land of the people that we're on and stuff. So how is your spirit? How are you feeling during this time of protest, of uprising, and how are you doing, you know, and during this time, what's going through your mind, your hearts, you know, and just I'm just going to throw it out there, you know, how are you guys doing? Andy, how you doing, brother?
You know, it's a range of emotion. My mother is a Seminole woman. My dad's African American, and they both hail from slave roots. So I have my mother's bill of sale from when she was purchased.
Oh wow!
At
Really?
a feed store. My great grandmother, 4 times removed, as an infant with her mother at a feed store, and we were only able to get that information. We were purchased by the Lee family. My last name Lee, hails from the Lee family of Virginia, the Robert E. Lees, and that family owned us. And so when people ask me, you know, sometimes how I feel when it's not during these times, you know, I have a range of anger and a range of joy that stems from what we've overcome to get me here, and that I'm in a really blessed place right now, because in the land of the Tlingit, which is your family, Gene, and blessed to know your mom and dad, but here I'm surrounded by people that appreciate me for the most part. And so it's helped me to get through it's the people that surround me that I draw some strength from. And you know, and I've fought myself. I remember when the internet first came out and someone asked me to teach a class on email. And I told people, if you're going to write an angry email, let it sit overnight, read it the next morning, and then hit send if you still feel that way. And that's where I am right now. If I found myself wanting to fire back at people, you know, whether it was All Lives Matter or, you know, I have to stay off of Facebook. I'm easily triggered, which is unusual for me. You know, I'm a high school basketball coach, and so I pride myself on my patience, but I find I have very little of it. And so I have to put those emails on hold, those mental emails, and not send them until I process a bit, and you know, not lash out at people that normally I find I care about, and I'm highly judgmental, so I fight that. And I haven't been. That's an unusual characteristic for me. So I'm finding out things about myself that I'm forced to confront, so I have to channel that. And it's not easy. And, so so the biggest fight right now is internal. Because when I go out, I have to make sure that I'm the best version of me I can be. And I have two sons, and they look at my demeanor, and they're in their 20s, so I don't want them to be at risk. And my neighbor who said to me, hey, my white neighbor who's a good guy, tells me we're the same all the time. Until I told him that, I said, well, your son and my son were 16 at the same time. How did teaching him to drive go? And he talked about stick shift and stop signs and turn signals. And I told him I had to teach my son to survive a traffic stop. Mm-hmm. And he didn't know what that meant. And so today I'm concerned, about traffic stops, concerned about how I'm going to behave. So I've tried to, I'm confronting myself more than I'm confronting before I confront the other issues.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Thanks, Andy. Carter, how you feeling? How's during this time, and what's going on in the country, and what's in your heart? How's your spirit doing?
Yeah. We're it has strange times and it's strange emotions, because I've been asked that question by a number of people, and my processing is I take it two different ways. I take it in ways, especially if it's of white orientation. Is this person just providing their emotional needs to me and really haven't done their dirt work? Or do I know this person presenting these emotions to me that I know are doing the work? That's two different areas, because this is something I have to almost process automatically. And to that point, they asked me in a group setting, how do you feel? And I says, wait a minute, I have probably different feelings. Yes, there's anger. Yes, there's, animosity. Yes, there's frustration. However, we were born in this world. And I believe our hearts and souls have been tempered because we live this every day. And so my feelings, I believe, encapsulate, as it was well put, I have to first analyze, process this before I acknowledge and speak, because, of course, our conversations, we have to explain so much. That's some of the tax we have to pay, right?
Yeah.
We have to explain so much of what we actually mean. And I work with 3 organizations at this point in time, boards and organizations, because I develop infrastructures to support intentions. Because many of these, of course, white-led organizations have these great intentions. And now within the last few days, since it's been put in their face, they have urgency to deliver a message when they have no infrastructure to support those intentions, or very little infrastructure.
Yeah.
And so, to the point, we do have to sit in our sit spot, and process what we're actually seeing before we express and articulate, because this is who we are, and this is how we have been tempered to see ourselves and how we are seen in the community and public eye. Mm-hmm. So my feelings are, and I believe, I feel some gratitude that we're going through this right now, that we're actually living through this, because there's going to be a silver lining. Okay, there's going to be a debt that has to be paid, right? And are we going to be part? We may not live to that point, but at least we're seeing it and trying to develop those access routes for healing. right.
for healing.
So,
You know, it's awesome, Carter. You know, I was just talking with there's a couple things there. You know, it's like I was just talking to some of my colleagues about. It seems like this country right now is in a rites of passage. When there's rites of passage right now, we're just kind of like, okay, where are we going to come out of this? And the change may not happen until, I mean, you know, and I hear you, man. It's like as I get older, I'm very selective on how I want to spend my time. And to explain this to some people, it's just, I can spend my time better in other ways, you know. And it's like Andy says, sometimes I just get impatient. I was just you know how those old elders go, you know, I'm getting that way. I'm getting that way, you know, and I just want to spend that time and that energy in other ways, you know. And so I hear you. It's just like, and so I think so. Nelson, you know, how you doing, brother? You know, and how you feeling during all this? And
Well, when I talked to you yesterday a little bit, Gene, I kind of expressed a little bit, kind of like all you gentlemen, I'm processing. Like it's a frustration though. I'm probably the youngest one out here on this panel right now, but just
you are the youngest one.
I come
There's
from
no
the inner
doubt.
city. I come from
hey
the
man,
inner city.
the answers are going to be multicultural and multi-generational, my brother.
That's exactly correct. We're both your role model. We're your role models. You're our organ donor.
I can take that. But for the most part, I've been experiencing this and living this my whole entire life, living and growing up in Los Angeles. So for me, it's a lot of anger and frustration, like I told you before. But just like you gentlemen are saying, I have to process and figure out how I could disseminate this out to the public or to even my friends or individuals. Because individuals say they understand or they know what we're experiencing, but obviously, like you said, them not doing anything or things not changing shows that it's not happening. So right now, I told Gene the other day, like I'm just in the mode where I'm not posting anything, I'm not doing anything. I want action. I want to know what I could do to actually make things move. I don't want to just speak about things. I want to actually, like I said, it's larger than just a Black Lives Matter posting up a website, posting up a shout out, those different things. I think it's bigger than that. So I'm just trying to see and work with different individuals to see where I could do it, my capacity. From transitioning from a pandemic to this is just a overall thing that, all right, now this is kind of put the pandemic back and this is now in the forefront. And I'm like, how did this get pushed back in the first place when we've been transitioning from one thing to the next, whether it was Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, it's been several individuals. So for me, it's just a frustration and tired. Like I hurt and I understand, but I just, like I said, I see different people process different ways, and I'm trying to figure out the best way for me to disseminate what I want and how I could help. Because I figure out I'm seeing a lot of different posts. I see a lot of people say different things, but it's smoke, and that doesn't help the cause. So right now, that's what I'm about, and that's what I'm looking forward to trying to do and link with individuals that could help me do that. So that's really what it's about for me right now, like trying to make change and how I could do that.
Right on. And just being on here, Nelson, I mean, you're making that change and just the work that we're doing, you know, and so, you know, we all work out there in the community and there's that bigger picture. How are we going to change in this big societal, you know, national worldview? I don't know. I don't know how that's going to happen. I just know here we are. We're here together. You know, Native guy, Black. You know, and just do we have to come together with that? But sometimes it's like, what can we do? It's at the smaller micro levels, you know, and each of us doing our part at that level creates the bigger change in it, you know, and so what, you know what I mean? Nelson, you work with kids, you work with youth. What do you tell them? What do you tell them?
Right now, like you said, it's funny. A lot of my kids are not aware. And I was just thinking back to me when I was in Los Angeles when the riots were happening and protests were happening for Rodney King. And during that time, unfortunately, my parents weren't making me aware of the police brutality or the things that were happening. And all I saw was just the looting and rioting. And I thought from that standpoint, like, let's capitalize on this. Why aren't we out there doing this? Why aren't we out getting looting, doing these type of things for the greater good? But now that I'm an adult and I'm seeing it in a different perspective, like when I talk to students, I talked to a couple students this morning, and like I said, most of them were not even aware of why people were doing it or what the justification was behind it. So a lot of the conversation is kind of seeing where they are, seeing and meeting them halfway, kind of just discussing with them, why is this taking place? Why do they feel it's taking place? What do they see? And like I said, a lot of the students are just seeing the looting and rioting, and they're not necessarily seeing the cause behind it or seeing the protest and the speakers behind that and what they're even pushing the agenda. So for the most part, I'm trying to kind of decipher what the students know and what they don't know, and then not trying to push any of my agenda, but basically try to give some type of clarification for them when they do have these type of questions. And sometimes, Gene, I don't have the answers.
Yeah.
As far as, and I just have to be real with them and kind of explain to them that I'm at a point where I'm trying to figure that out as well as myself, whether it's them asking me, why do officers act this way and behave in this fashion? And foremost, it's just about kind of giving them a justification from my perspective. And especially when I'm talking to my African-American males, just like Andy said, like I have to explain to them coding on and coding off and getting them to understand in order to be successful in this society we live in right now, you have to be able to code on and code off with our culture and the society we live in order to be successful. So a lot of my conversations are kind of meeting them where they are, Gene, to be the most part, and then clarifying with them and trying to move forward. I haven't really got to a point where a student wants to create or wants to has an agent to create change, just like I am. So I haven't reached that point yet, but that will be an intricate part when I do reach a student that does want to do that as well, and how I could help them impact and apply those efforts.
But thank you. Thanks, man. Thank you. Andy, what are your thoughts, brother?
It's when we talk about how we're working with our kids or how we're supporting them or communicating with them, it's one of the challenges of the virus is that they were isolated. One of the challenges of the virus is that school was online, and one of my tasks that I took on was encouraging kids to stay connected with their schoolwork, with their teachers. And because a lot of our kids we're concerned about disconnected because maybe they don't have that support at home, and had a home with 6 kids and they're all trying to do Zoom, and we know that challenge, and so they're sharing laptops or they don't have connectivity. And so the challenge is and I heard clearly the term meet them halfway, meet them where they are. But right now sometimes it's just locating them, and social media becomes the gathering place. And I was concerned that the kids that I coach and the kids that I typically interact with, 15 to 24, were simply going to be echo chambers of their parents, but I badly underestimated them. And they're challenging the norms. They're inquisitive. They're not just simply accepting, this is the way it is, this is the way it always has been, or all lives matter. They want to know why. They want answers, and we have to prepare ourselves to provide a place for them to vent, a place for them to ask, a safe place because they're getting pulled in a lot of different directions. And if they're only media connected to outlets that only promote the negatives of the rioting, the looting, then they don't see another side. They don't see, and so sometimes I have to provide a perspective of, well, coach isn't looting, because most of my basketball team is non-native, non-Black. And so what do I portray to them? What do I, and it's really important for me when I talked about not lashing out, was remembering that I may be their only interaction with a Black and brown person. And so not to live up to or down to their parents' image or some media generated image, but be genuine in my feelings, be honest with them. And I find out that the best, they know if I BS them. So I can't do that. So it's not rah, it's raw. It's raw. I tell them how I feel. They want to know. And for a greater part, they're not asking what I think, they're asking how I feel, which tells me they have the capacity to make the change. And because they're genuinely concerned. And they're taking that out and they're starting to connect. You grew up here, Gene, on the land that I'm sitting on, and suffered and witnessed, racism. And I've been pulled over at gunpoint here when I carried a badge as superintendent of corrections. So we know. And so it's really important for me to not simply portray the anger, but portray the truth. This happened here. This is why I became who I am. And this is how you can make it better. And I don't know the answers. And sometimes it's just off the cuff. And now we're starting to emerge. We're at level 4. So people are starting to get out of their houses. And it's interesting because, Gene, we're huggers.
Yeah.
We're physical, contact. And, I met with a few of my players the other day, and we couldn't hug, and we all had masks on. And we masked our emotions. We couldn't see lips moving. You couldn't quite read the eyes. I got a greater appreciation for what a deaf person must need to do, not being able to read lips, because I realized I depend on, watching you speak to read your emotions. And so we've got to try harder. The virus makes it tougher. And so I'm reaching out. But I'm not, like I said, I'm typically raw, but not right now. I'm raw. And that rawness has helped me do a better job. And the kids want that from me.
Right on. Yeah, I totally hear you, man. And it's just being honest, because these kids, even those little ones, those grade school kids, I get in there and I'm straight up with them, and as Carter, you've heard me when I go to the wilderness school, I'm straight up with these people, and because most of them at that school that I'm associated with, and we both are, they're white. They're all white, and they're looking for their answers too, or whatever that may be, and I get pretty honest with them there. Right. And so Carter, what are your thoughts on, what do we tell people? What do the youth nowadays, or whoever? Yeah, those are worthy of our time, man.
Right.
Those kids.
I love these conversations, the depth, because it takes me back to one of my periods in life was in sales. And it was in sales with supposedly individuals who believe they know all be all, and that's physicians, right? And one thing you have to acknowledge, and this is why people to come to me today and say, Carter, I spoke to you about this, Gene. You're a great teacher, you're a great instructor. No, I don't want to be a great teacher, a great instructor. I want to be a person who provides space for the individual to become curious, to where that curiosity assists them and motivates them and inspires them to do their own dirt work. Because when you, as a representative, you come in and speak with the physician about a product, you quickly learn that physician is going to say, you're not going to sell me anything. I'm the physician, you're the rep. Well, if you don't learn to evolve and shift to creating an environment where you provide information and articulate information to create curiosity to that person, to where that person decides that based on what you have brought to that person, they are now interested in what you have provided as far as information, and then they do their homework. Now the product has to work, of course, but you allow them to sell themselves, not you selling something to them. Because as we all well know, we're more into the game if we rationalize why it's good for me or who I'm trying to service. So I explained that to a person a couple of days ago, no name dropping, but they said, well, I've never heard it like that before. You know, and it makes perfect sense. But my point is because there's so much in this container that we're speaking about and I'm embracing right now, and we don't have all the time. Love will continue this conversation. However, to the point, I feel we need to come at the level of the individual that we're trying to attract or embrace. Because it's not what we know, it's what do they want to know, and inviting them in to embrace the message that we feel is needed at this point in time. My point is that when I speak to a group, especially to a younger group, I ask them only one thing. I ask them to listen to what I say, possibly not embrace it for all it's worth, because I'm speaking to you from my experiences. And you possibly have to go through those experiences to exactly understand what I'm saying. What I only ask is maybe later on in time, in an hour, in a week, in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, if something takes place and activates, hopefully you can say, that's what he was talking about.
Right.
So again, there's so much in this container, man. I would love to embrace you guys, but Gene, yeah, thank you for.
I would like to continue the conversation. Absolutely. And I hear you about doing our homework. I had I don't know, Andy, I don't know if you remember Paul Jackson or
Yeah.
or even Paul Jackson and Austin Hammond,
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we got to do our homework because, if we're not doing our homework, and first of all, said, not enough people doing their homework, and this our home. We got to do our homework, and they'd always talk about that. Not enough people are doing their homework, and it's one of these days, shoot, I'm gonna be that elder, hopefully, and I'm gonna be that ancestor. And what kind of ancestor do I want to be? But I got to do that homework, and get out there and do it. I tell people too. I share with them everything that I say here. At the end of it, don't believe me. It's up to you to go out and prove if it works for you or not. Try it out. Just don't take what I have to say. Just try it out. If it works for you. And so as we need to continue this conversation. It's like, what, as I was going to say, like, as three black men, what do you want to say? But actually, I say as three human beings, what do you want to? You came on here and maybe you had something in the back of your mind that you're saying, this is my message. This is really what I want to say. And what might that be? I mean, not all of you need to answer this. Maybe you didn't really think about that, but maybe you did. It's like, this is what I really want to say to people out there, or those out there. What would that? What do you guys got? Andy.
It's a continuum. The work won't end with us. Didn't start with us. And so if we're going to be that ancestor, if we're going to be that elder, we have to remember it didn't start with us. It's not just our message. And I've stolen from you many times everybody has a story. And there's a Latin term, tabula rasa. It's a whiteboard. It's a clean slate. It's not. It was written on far before I ever got started on this journey. It was, before, my story didn't start with my mother's bill of sale, my great great grandmother's bill of sale. but the legacy of what she overcame and what, you know, her children overcame and what my children will have to overcome, I'm a part of that. And what's my contribution, you know? And I have to make sure every day that there's this this continued effort at a high level, that I can't take a day off, that I can't waste a moment. And increasingly, as I get older, there are fewer and fewer opportunities and fewer moments. So I value them more. They're more intense, you know, whether that's coaching, whether that's talking, you know, motivational speaking, whether that's a training, it becomes increasingly meaningful to me. And so I draw on the hurt. I don't ignore it. I used to compartmentalize. I need to put that hurt over there. Now I draw on it. And that was a lesson for me at late, you know. I used to put hurt over there and this, you know, I don't compartmentalize anymore. I draw on everything. And I was hurting my own story by ignoring the painful parts of it. And now I'm, you know, it's just important for me to be the best person that I can be. And the only way I can do that is tell my story.
Right on. We lost your picture there, Andy. We can hear you though. There you are.
I'm back.
You're back.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to tell my story, and that's what's changed in the last 100 days, is that I'm going to draw on the pain and the joy equally, and I'm not separating them, because they're equally important to getting to where I'm going. And that might be painful too, but it's a part of the path.
Mhm. Right on. Thank you. Konachush.
Hawa.
Carter, anything that's
Oh yeah, the ability to internalize and check oneself, because there's so much anxiety and depression going out with people who say they want to change the world. Well, first in first responder rhetoric, it's you have to be selfish before you can be selfless. You have to take care of yourself first before you can try to help others. And that even means going into the vulnerable position of really delving into the history of all of this. Because if we don't know our history, we don't really understand the present, and we cannot embrace the future, because all of this has happened before. However, the wound, there's always been a bandage on the wound, right? And we have to take that bandage off to let the air hit it to heal. That's simple ways of wounds healing, is the air to hit it. And so with that, and especially with our youth, because my sacred question is, how do you market or present something when that entity that you want to attract doesn't even know it exists? Okay.
yeah.
You don't even have any questions. And this is in Ellie, in education, the separation of education in the masses and in the United States is the have and have nots. How, if you're unexposed and if you don't have experience, you're not even curious because you don't even know it exists. And so that's what I want to try to bring to this point of, especially in nature space, no matter where it is, it has such a positive force. However, this society is completely working against societal norms. Society doesn't want you to stop. Society doesn't want you to have contextual thought processes. Society doesn't want you to reflect. But that same attribute of nature is what one needs in order to make this place better, for whatever better means. So that's my sacred question. And I'm working on that. but I don't, I,
Yeah.
I really want other voices right now to speak because this conversation needs to continue.
I mean, even with that, I mean, I'm taking a look at my blind spots. I mean, what are they? I don't even know what is it that I don't know still, you know, and discovering what are my blind spots, you know, and just trying to re-educate myself and just, it's just learn. Yeah. Gonna choose. Nelson, I
Jay,
see you in deep thought
like
there, brother.
yeah, Carter's hitting me with some stuff, man. Like I'm not even gonna lie, he is coming with it. But like you were saying, I'm not even. The big thing that you said too, Gene, was I feel like this is a rite of passage for the nation, man. Like I feel like this moment in time is the time for us to see, are we going to, as a whole, step up to the plate? And I feel like it's a time for us to be together as one. So I'm hoping that this, like you said, due to these circumstances, it's unfortunate, but I'm hoping it opens eyes. And a big thing what Carter is saying, like the dirt work, like I feel like even for myself, for my own history, for everyone, I think across the board, we all just need to have a better understanding. And I feel like if we do that dirt work, it give us more opportunity to come to the table with a better solution rather than coming there with no knowledge or no wherewithal of what the other's culture or what they've been through or what they've gone through. So I think this is a great time for us to capitalize on this opportunity. And I hope that it is. Like I said, I think that the institution needs to change in general, but it starts with individuals. So it's kind of like you said, y'all gave me a lot of stuff to chew on and food for thought.
Right on. That's what we're your uncles, brother. That's what we do. You know, and the topic today was like men's wellness. You know, men choose respect. You know, and how do we do that? And also it's like, but what do you know during this time? You know, I know you're affected by everything that's going on. You know, the pandemic, the illness, and the illness of racism that's out there. You know, and we've all faced it. We all still face it, and our children are facing, our families. You know, and that's going on. But so, what are you doing for yourself? How do you keep yourself well and healthy, Carter?
Gene, yeah, I wanted to bring this up too, because you already know. My whole life, crying and shedding tears was not part of the agenda. That was a sign of weakness, right? We all put into this manliness, this masculinity. Yeah. Dude, you mentioned hugging and emotion, and we need to learn that tears are healing to the earth. Okay, we need to let that go, right? And my partner's saying, now I can't stop him from crying, you know? You know, but really, you know, it's one thing, you know, hugging a person, shedding those tears in private. This morning, there's the power of what's been taking place. I had to extend out to my brother, sister, and my father, who are the only living entities in my family, and extend to them that I just need to hear their voice. Okay. And knowing that, you know, they know and I'm okay, right? However, we need to contact those who mean so much to us and let them know, hopefully, that I'm okay. I just need to express this. You know, so
yeah,
I just wanted to put that out there on the table, man. Yeah.
Well, I hear you. I mean, I've my tears have been falling, you know, and constantly, and as men, you know, we need to do that, and to be, you know, I was one of the things to have courage. You need to have vulnerability, and they go hand in hand. In order to have courage, you need to be vulnerable. And sometimes it's that vulnerability is that showing of that emotion, you know, and that just opening our hearts and allowing that to ourselves to heal, because our tears are healing. Our tears are healing, you know. And Andy, what do you do to take care of yourself, man? To take care of your spirit, to take care of your wellness as a man?
Well, someone told me, the more afraid you are, the less fear you have. And so, I have to act. I'm a physical being. I'm, like I talked about the hugging, but I get out. I'm blessed, like you guys, Seattle, Portland, Alaska. We're in a corridor of beauty, and on this land that I'm allowed to be on, there's streams and rivers, and I get out and I talk out loud when I'm there. And when I'm in the river, when I see the deer, I talk to the deer. When I see bear, I talk to bear, and I thank bear. And I thank the deer. And I'm out from 6 to 12, 6 to midnight for the last 13 days. I've stayed outside on streams and rivers and trails from 6 to midnight. And the longer every day, I've gotten louder in my voice. And I talk to Eagle, and I'm Raven, and so in the moieties of the tribe, and I'm Chaakish, and is the name given to me, Eagle Father, and my children are ravens, and so I'm Eagle Father, and so I take very seriously my place in this land, and that I'm blessed to be here, but I talk louder every day, and I'm hoping that that strips away some of the fear that I have to speak going forward, because the words are no longer about offense and defense. They're about living and dying. They're about healing. And I want to make sure that my words are healing. So I think bear and eagle and deer have given me the words back. And so it's been really strengthening for me to get away from things, shut down social media, shut down, don't watch the TV. I'm a media guy. I love newspapers. I loved being online, but I found that it's lent itself to my toxic side.
Yeah.
And I was drawn to the toxic side. They talk about the force. Well, there are negative forces out there, and if you can't shut them down, I talk to young men about, pornography and being strong fathers and single dads, and we're all drawn. If we don't identify these weaknesses, we can't build on our strengths. And so I've recognized that I've had some true weaknesses, and that in order to be a better dad, especially now, and a better coach, that I've got to acknowledge my weaknesses. And so I've gotten away from things and spent some time with me. And I'm the CEO of YOU.
There you go. I like that. I like that.
So right now it just came to me, but right now I'm trying to be in charge of me, but not control my emotions so much. When I'm out in the woods, I can yell, I can scream, I can talk, I can sit on a rock. And I didn't hear anything the first 3 days I was out.
Yeah.
The last week, I hear everything. So I need to do that when I'm out with people. I've talked so much that I forgot to listen, and I think there's a Cat Stevens song, from the moment I could talk, I was told to listen. And so I'm still learning to listen. And that's going to be my effort, is to learn to listen. And so that's, I've learned a lot about myself. And I've accelerated that learning by being away from things, and not, garbage in, garbage out with media and other things. And so being away from, isolating myself a little bit, but it's really helped. And I'm not done. And
Yeah.
recognizing that I'm not done. I'm not a finished product. My story's not in its last chapter. And, I feel better about it than I did yesterday. And I'm going to be out in the woods 6 to midnight tonight. That's where I am.
Tell them, I said hi.
Yeah, hey, every day.
It's, I have a teacher of mine, great teacher, Larry Littleberg, down in New Mexico, but he told us to be effective storytellers. First, we are story listeners. We have to listen. We are story listeners, and then we tell the story. Then we tell that story. you know, and it's that the importance of sitting there and listening, the value of listening, not even to media or any of that thing, but even like you said, in the woods to listen and to look for the beauty, because, you know, they also heard, because the negative will find you. It will find you. It's out there. It's like a monster looking for you. It's looking for an opportunity to almost like jump on us, to blanket us in that darkness. You know, and that's where we have to do our homework, keep ourselves strong. Our ancestors got our back. But it's also so, but the thing is too, we have to, the beauty, it's out there, but we have to look for it, search for it. We got to want it. We got to want the beauty, you know, and go look for that. I do that often. Shoot, I'm out there in the woods riding my bike, and, you know, and my wife, Ruby, she's like, tells me, he's like, don't you have to go for a bike ride now? It's like, she just wants to get me out of the house, man. And I'm actually grateful for that. She's like, just, it's time for you to go for a bike ride now. It's like, take your time. She tells me, take your time, take all the time. But that's,
Yeah,
that's her word.
my partner's always on me like, why aren't you out there?
I think it's that term, back already.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Nelson, what are you doing for your wellness, brother? How are you taking care of you, yourself?
Well, I'm not getting kicked out like y'all. She's got the honey-do list ready for me, so I got work and tasks to do. But for the most part, I've been staying active, like you guys have said. Like that has really helped me go into my own little safe haven where I'm active. So I can't go to the gym. I can't get into the hoop gym. So I've been improvising at home. I've built my own little workout center in the backyard. So we are working out in the backyard, staying active, been at chambers a lot, doing things like that of that nature. And then I just been reaching out a lot to loved ones. I've been encouraging the students, the people that I love and the people I care about. I've been trying to touch bases with them. Like Carter said, just to hear their voice has been comforting for me to kind of uplift my spirits. So I'm going to continue to kind of reach out to them and continue to stay connected with them. And big thing what Andy was saying, I'm trying to grow in this time frame as well. Like it's given me an opportunity to learn about myself, as well as I just got married last year. So I'm almost on 2 years. And it's definitely been helping me and my wife, giving us an opportunity to be together, to learn one another even more than we already knew. So during this time, it's really just helped us grow. So I want to continue just to grow as an individual and, like you said, be a better man than I was the next day. So I'm continuing to kind of take this time to do that.
Right on. And yeah, and thank you for this time. Just think this moment and your presence, all of you. So any last words before we close this moment down, or this moment? And any other last words? I know we're going a little bit over time. We started off a little bit late, but
I just want to thank you for allowing me to come into this place, man, and give me opportunity to share as well as listen. Like you said, it was a great experience. Thank you.
right on.
I'm hoping to stay connected with my new friends, and I'm more optimistic, and I'm always optimistic. I'm more optimistic leaving the conversation than I was coming into it, and that's a blessing every day. So thanks.
Oh, right on.
And be gentle with yourselves, right? Be gentle with ourselves, because we're in a moment that, yeah, it's the unknown. And I find that the spice, especially an extended stay in natural spaces, that the spice is when you try to prepare yourself for what you believe you're getting ready to do, and then you're gearing up, and you're geared up believing you have what you need, and the spice is walking out that door not knowing exactly what you're getting ready to get. I mean, that's a sense of alive, right? You know?
Mhm.
So, yeah. Thank you, Gene. Thank you, Gene. And all of you.
Hey, Ganeshish, thank all of you. Thank you. You know, and until next time, we'll continue this conversation and the healing. And so again, we're the Native Wellness Institute with the Power Hour. This is sponsored by Indian Collective. Indian. That's how you say it. Indian Collective. So I have my brothers, my Black brothers on here, and truly, you guys are brothers. And so it's a brotherhood. Thank you so much. Until next time, right on. And my wife's like giving me weird looks right now. She's like telling me like, okay, now shut up now. Okay, be quiet.
The bike is ready. The bike is ready. It's ready.
Take the dogs out now. So tomorrow we have Theta and Lori, I believe, who are going to be on, and they got a panel of women and talking about women's wellness and health, and tune in, Native Wellness Institute, and thank you. I'm going to end there. Go ahead, Tish. Thank you. Blessings.
Thank you, Nelson.
Thanks, Ruby.
Oh man, that was fun.